If you're looking for a happy YouTube video, please look away, because this video is about the 3 Baudelaire orphans, and there's no one more unfortunate than the Baudelaire orphans. Unfortunate is a word here that means having been marked by bad fortune or unlucky. And if anyone knows the Baudelaire orphans, they know that their lives have been riddled with bad fortune and unluckiness. So, as you guys can probably guess, this video is about a series of unfortunate events. I am in love with this series, and I've been wanting to make some fan art for it for the longest time. So, I read the books when I was in elementary school, and I loved them so much. They were right up there with Harry Potter for me, with how much I loved them. And they were kind of a really good escape for me, because I kind of had a hard childhood. But being able to read these books, it kind of helped me escape, and my life wasn't being plagued by murder and arson and someone trying to steal my family fortune, so they helped me feel better. And plus, the books are written in such a way that even though they're quote-unquote children's books, they do an amazing job of not dumbing down anything for kids, and I really appreciated that as an avid reader as a kid. And yeah, they're just amazing books. If you guys haven't read them, please do, because they're just amazing, and they're still incredibly enjoyable for adults and for kids. They're just amazingly well written, and one of the most creatively written books I've ever read, still in my entire life. I actually want to reread them, and I'm trying to convince my fiance to buy me the box set, because I read all the books from the library and I don't actually have them, and it kills me because I want to reread them so bad. But anyway, I saw the new Netflix series, and I have to say I also loved it. I don't care what anyone says. I do like the movie as well. The movie came out quite a few years ago, and it had Jim Carrey in it, and Jim Carrey was a great Count Olaf. And a lot of people compare the movie to the series and vice versa and stuff, but I loved both for different reasons. But I'm still really excited to see where the series goes. I'm super psyched for season 2. I think Neil Patrick Harris does an amazing job as Count Olaf, and I'm just super stoked. So anyway, that's enough of me rambling on about how much I love this series. So now I'll talk a little bit about the illustration itself. As you guys can see, I did the 3 Baudelaire orphans, Violet, Klaus, and Sunny, and their mansion behind them. And what I wanted to do for this piece was I wanted it to look almost like a storybook illustration or a storybook cover, because ultimately that's where I want my art to end up. I really want to illustrate books, so I felt this was good practice, and what I wanted to do was really kind of tell a story with just one illustration. So I have the 3 kids, and I have them looking somber, and I also have their mansion in the background because, spoiler alert, their mansion burns down on the very first page. So that's kind of a huge theme throughout the first book, was that. So I really wanted an illustration that kind of told that story. And I think I did an all right job of it. I'm pretty happy with how the final illustration came out, and it was really fun to draw too, but it was also really challenging. For one, I am not good at drawing buildings whatsoever. Buildings have always been a super challenging thing for me. There's something about just how linear they are, and it's just but anyway, what I did to help myself was I looked up a lot of references. Excuse me. I looked up a lot of references for different Victorian and Gothic mansions and buildings and stuff, and then I took what I liked from each of those and kind of mushed them all together. And another thing I did was I really focused on the shapes. When I was sketching this out, I just laid in the biggest shapes and how I wanted everything to look spatially. And then once I had that down, I went in and I added all the details and all the frilly things like the windows and the shingles and stuff like that. And by breaking it apart, it was much easier for me to swallow and much easier for me to comprehend in my brain. So that helped a ton. Another thing that was really difficult for me is drawing boys. If you guys haven't noticed by now, I don't really draw a lot of boys. And not only that, but I had to draw like a young boy. So I also looked up a lot of references for the actors who've played Klaus in the show and the movie. That helped, and I did a lot of preliminary sketching, and I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I do think he looks a little too young. I think Klaus is supposed to be 12 in the series, 11 or 12, and I drew him really small, especially in comparison to Violet, so I feel like he looks more like 8 or 9, but that's just something I will have to practice. But I'm pretty overall happy with how he came out. He definitely looks like a little boy, so that was a win for me in my book. Another thing was I've never really drawn a baby before, and I kind of struggled with that too, because I didn't want her to look like a toddler, because Sunny is a baby and that's like a big part of her character. She can't talk and she has like these teeth that she bites things with, so I wanted to make her look like a baby and not a toddler, and that was surprisingly difficult because babies are just weirdly shaped, man. I don't know. But same thing, I looked up references and did some preliminary sketches, and it helped a lot, and I'm pretty happy with how she came out too. I still think she looks a little weird, but you know, babies look weird anyway, so I'm not that torn up about it. But yeah, those are just some challenges I had while drawing this, but I'm pretty overall happy with how it came out. I also am undecided with if I like the coloring of this. And that's because I really went in heavy with my line work, and I put a lot of time and effort into making my line work stand on its own, and I was very, very proud of it. I was very happy with how it looked just with the lines. And I feel like when I went in with the Copics, first of all, I haven't used my Copics in a long time and I'm super rusty with them. And second of all, most of the line work I did got covered up by the Copics. And that kind of made me upset because I really wanted the line work to stand out more. And I'm not quite sure how I could have gone about that in a way that would have made the line work more prominent. The only thing I can think of is maybe if I colored it digitally. But I don't know. That's something I think I'm going to have to play with because I really like the look of sketchy and messy line work. So I think I'm just going to have to experiment with different things and find out a way to make the line work stand on its own while also having color behind it. Because I didn't want to leave the lines just as lines. I really wanted color to be in this illustration as well. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how I feel about the overall coloring, but it turned out all right, I guess. Another thing was when I went in with my Copics at first, Copics are pretty pigmented and I don't have a lot of desaturated colors in my Copic arsenal, so I went in with the skin and the skin was automatically way too bright than I wanted. So I kind of panicked a little bit because I did not want this to be a bright piece. I wanted it to be very desaturated and somber looking. So what I ended up doing was I pretty much covered every color with a layer of gray. That really helped bring everything, it made everything more cohesive as well, but it also desaturated all of the colors, which is what I wanted. I think the skin turned out a little funky in some places. I'm not quite happy with how Violet's face is colored. But it definitely looks a lot better than it did with just the first layer of Copics because that was just way too bright and too happy, and there's nothing happy about a series of unfortunate events. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you also enjoy a series of unfortunate events so we can fangirl together and be excited for season 2 because I can't wait. And that's all I have time for. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you have an amazing day. If you are not already, please hit that subscribe button to become a member of the Fairy Fam. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.